In November 1931, the Tigard Sentinel ran a 6-sentence notice announcing a public library open 5 hours a week that was free to the use of all in this vicinity. The notice is signed by 2 Tigard residents, Irma Hampton, a 22-year-old daughter of Lewis and Narcissa Hampton, and Mrs. L.B. Hall, Naomi, a 30-year-old married mother of 2 young boys. Little is known of this early attempt at establishing a public library in Tigard, but it appears to have contained a small collection and operated as a lending library. It was dependent on public donations of money and material to keep it open. How long it operated is also unknown, but by the time the city of Tigard incorporated in 1961, Tigard was still without a public library.
In June 1963, Beverly Bender and the Tigard Junior Women's Club initiate the idea of promoting a public library for residents of the one-year-old city of Tigard. The project brings a flood of support from Tigard service organizations, merchants, and residents, and in October 1963, the Tigard City Council establishes a public library with Ordinance Number 63-16. The Tigard Junior Women's Club holds book drives and fundraising events over the winter and following spring to support library services. No money is budgeted by the city that first year, but a back room in City Hall is renovated to house the library in May 1964. City Hall at the time was the old First Bank of Tigard building located on Main Street.
Tigard Mayor Ed Woodward officially opens the Tigard Public Library on May 23, 1964, with a ribbon-cutting ceremony at a Saturday afternoon open house event. The Tigard Garden Club provides floral arrangements and artwork is displayed by Tigard art classes. Beverly Bender, initiator of the project and now the chairperson of the library board, provides a welcoming speech. The library is open 6 hours a week and is staffed entirely by volunteers. The library's initial collection of over 1,000 books are donations provided by Tigard residents and other Portland area libraries. Of that first year of the Tigard Public Library, the first report of progress to the Oregon State Library said that books are being donated faster than they can be processed, volunteers are being acquired faster than they can be trained, and borrower registration and book circulation are growing each week.
With a larger budget for the library in 1965, Ann Hicks is hired as the part-time librarian and becomes the library's first employee. The library's collection grows to nearly 4,000 items and over 7,000 books are circulated that year. In 1966, the library moves the collection to a larger space by the entrance to City Hall. But even the extra space in City Hall is too small for the growing popularity of the library. In July 1967, another move is made out of City Hall and further down Main Street to a building that over several decades functioned as a garage, a ceiling mattress factory, and a cold storage facility. With 5,300 square feet of space, the larger space allows for a few tables, chairs, and magazine racks. The library is open over 25 hours a week. The book collection grows to over 5,000 items, and annual library circulation tops 12,000 items.
The new library location offers more space, but the aging building proves to be a maintenance challenge. The library is cold and damp in the winter and hot and humid in the summer. There is no space for library programs or a staff break room. The one workroom is small and crowded. By 1970, the library's budget grows to over $7,000, but volunteers still provide most of the staffing for the library. Seeing a need for additional money to support library services, a Friends of the Library group is formed in 1972, and they begin holding book sales to raise additional money for the library. By 1973, the 10-year-old Tigard Public Library's book collection had grown to over 13,000 items, and annual book circulation had surpassed 42,000.
For America's bicentennial anniversary in 1976, the Friends of the Library received a $250 grant to create an historical corner, repair a display case, add shelving, and buy paint. An adjoining space for a children's room is also made ready for occupancy. Other community organizations make contributions to the library as well. The Tigard Junior Women's Club install a furnace to heat the back of the library. The Friends of the Library donate an electric typewriter, and the Rotary Club donate money for a couch and large print book collection. In 1976, the Tigard Public Library also becomes a charter member of the newly formed Washington County Cooperative Library Services, providing all residents of Washington County free access and use of other public libraries in the cooperative. Annual library circulation jumps to over 67,000 items. Kathy Hallett is hired as the library's first children's librarian, and Irene Ertel succeeds Ann Hicks as library director.
By 1978, annual library circulation increases to over 85,000 items. The Friends of the Library start a fundraising campaign for a new library facility, citing the existing building's poor ventilation, inadequate parking, and lack of shelf space for materials. The Friends of the Library also discussed the need to incorporate their organization to be eligible to receive grants and other aid from private businesses. A set of bylaws are drafted in 1979, and a certificate of incorporation is approved and issued by the state of Oregon.
Annual library circulation surpasses 100,000 in the early 1980s, but conditions continue to deteriorate inside the library. A leak in the roof damaged some books, and parts of the floor were replaced because of continued dry rot. Talk of relocating the library to a different building had first been proposed in 1973 by the library board when Tigard's population was a little over 7,000. By 1982, Tigard's population had increased to over 17,000, and city officials began putting together plans to build a new civic center building that would include space for the library. 3 different bond measures fail over the next 2 years.
In March 1984, a 4th Civic Center bond measure appeared on the ballot. 3 weeks before the election, the Tigard Times reported that ceiling panels near the entrance to the library gave way, narrowly missing a patron using the microfiche machine. On Election Day, Tigard voters approved a $2.2 million bond measure for the new Tigard Civic Center on Hall Boulevard. A new library is finally on its way. Construction on the new Civic Center begins in July 1984 and continues through 1985.
In early 1986, library staff began preparing for the move to the new library and began setting up shelving in the 11,400 square foot space, twice the size of the previous location. The new Civic Center and Library opens on a bright sunny day in May, highlighted with a parade down Main Street, marching bands, and a picnic cookout. Mayor John Cook and Curtis Tigard share ribbon-cutting honors, and tours of the new building and library are provided. Another first for the library that year is the installation of a countywide computer catalog system that replaces the printed card catalog. The digital age had begun for the library.
In 1989, after 3 years in the new location, the library celebrates its first 25 years with an open house to thank Tigardites for their many years of support. The new library is also the home of a tortoiseshell-colored cat that adopts the library as her home. Library staff name her Libby the Library Cat. She later gives birth to 4 kittens, and the family of felines live on a storage shelf in the workroom. In 1990, longtime library volunteer Yvonne Burgess is awarded Volunteer of the Year by the Oregon Library Association at their annual conference. In 1993, Tigard resident Mary Margaret Pewitt leaves nearly $73,000 to the library in her will. The money is used to construct a small addition to the children's room.
Between 1986 and 2000, the library's population more than doubles from 20,000 to 42,000 people. After 15 years in the Civic Center, it becomes apparent that the library is greatly undersized for Tigard's population, despite the recent Pewitt addition. In 1998, a $17.8 million proposal for construction of a new Tigard library and a police station is defeated by voters. The following year, the library receives a bequest of more than $800,000 from the estate of Grace Tigard Houghton to be used for a future reading room. The new millennium begins on a somber note for the library when Libby the cat passes away.
In the May 2002 election, a $13 million bond to construct a new 47,000 square foot library is placed on the ballot for voters. Library staff and supporters take their message to the community by giving about 65 presentations to an estimated 7,000 residents, explaining plans for different library amenities and showing a model of what the building could look like. Tigard voters approved the measure for a new library, and construction begins on a 14-acre site on Hall Boulevard that summer. The site had once been the home of the Grimstad Welcome Ranch in the 1940s and 1950s, where Joe and Jenny Grimstad raised and showed Shetland ponies.
In August 2004, 40 years since the first Tigard Public Library opening, the library moves into its fourth location, a brand new two-story building alongside Fano Creek. Hundreds of people attend a grand opening event that includes a ribbon cutting and speeches by the Tigard City Manager, Library Director, and Mayor. Celebratory events throughout the day at the library include musical performances, children's activities, and self-guided tours. The new library features a spacious community room for performances, 40 internet-ready computers, a reading room named for Grace Tigard Houghton, and local history room, artwork, and comfortable furniture.
After a decade in the new building, the Tigard Public Library celebrates their 50-year anniversary with a blast from the past birthday bash in the newly renamed George and Yvonne Burgess Community Room. The Burgesses were active volunteer members of the Tigard Library Board and the Friends of the Tigard Library for over 25 years. The birthday party includes a concert by local nostalgia band Johnny Limbo and the Lugnuts, crafts and games for children in the Mary Pewitt Room, and food and refreshments for everyone in the lobby. After 50 years, the library has seen it all, and we look forward to the next 50.